All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the I Love Changing Lives show, and it's good to be back on video. I was doing a lot of recording the last 2 or 3 weeks with one of my new programs, and I did manage to get a podcast episode done. If you haven't checked that out, go back and listen to that because it's all about how to separate yourself from the competition and why your competition just does not matter at all when you approach things a certain way and when you set your business and your business model up in the way that I described during that episode. Now, one of the key things that I get when I'm talking to a lot of entrepreneurs that keeps popping up is something in their way. All right. And we even put it in our application form. A lot of people will actually put this in what they would say is one of their weaknesses when they are applying to at least jump on a call with us and they fill out that application questionnaire. And I find it interesting. And I know if I think back to maybe before I started my first business when I was 17, the thought of sales was scary, right? And it was like, the whole premise around sales was that you had to be salesy, you had to be the salesperson, and you were about to go into a situation and get sold to. And I think that happened to me because, my first job, all right, was in retail. So we were literally selling, or if I call it retail, it was food services, right? It was working in a donut shop, but we had to sell produce and we had to sell a certain amount of produce. Whether somebody asked me for it or not, my aim and job was to try and sell more. Then I worked in a shoe store, same thing. My whole aim was based on sales and selling more shoes and increasing the average dollar sale per customer. They came in for one shoes, then they needed casual shoes. So I did lots of sales training when I was really early on in my career. And I think for me, it tainted it. And I'm sure for a lot of you, when you think about sales and being afraid of sales, it all goes back to a moment or an experience or a belief system that you might have around sales being a certain way. And what I want to do in this episode today is I want to bust through those myths. I want to bust through those negative beliefs or connotations or things that you have attached to sales. And I want to give you a framework for the best way to approach sales and why sales is the number one skill that you can own. So if you're ready to dive into that, I might suggest getting out a pen and paper, but let's start working through each of these points and start off really looking at why people are even afraid of sales in the first place, right? And again, touching back on what I just talked about past experiences and things, at some point, most of us have had a bad sales experience, right? We've gone in to buy a car. We've gone into a retail shop. We've gone into a phone store or something like that, right? And the person that has been working with you has been really pushy. He's been really uncomfortable. Maybe he's asked a lot of direct questions or he's even hounded you. And you've had a negative experience, right? Or your parents have grown up saying that, you don't want to go talk to him. He's a salesman. Like there's all of this crap that we attach to sales that just doesn't need to be there. But I truly believe the number one reason why most people are afraid of sales is because they don't want to get somebody to do something that they don't want to do. They don't want to force or make somebody do something that they don't feel comfortable about forcing them to do. Hopefully I made that clear, right? Like if this person doesn't need this, I don't want to go out and try and convince them why they need it because it's not nice, right? It doesn't make us feel good inside, and we don't like to be approached that way either. So there's a big disconnect, right? Bringing in the closer and all those sort of people when it comes to sales is just, it's such an old pastime. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't still exist. I'll give you a great example. We're trying to buy a car here at the moment, which is not easy when we don't have a social security number, just to let you know. And we went into this car dealership. I drove a Dodge Charger, like a 6.4 liter V8. It was fun, all right? Like lots of fun. Even pushing the ignition, just listening to go bob, 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 bob. Like that was probably the best thing about it. But The interesting thing was that the salesman came then, and he was a pretty shitty salesperson, to be honest. He didn't ask any great questions. He didn't try and make a connection with us. Sure, we drove the car, but he didn't really do much at all. He's like, oh, let's just come in and let's talk about the numbers. So we go inside to talk about the numbers. And again, he didn't ask any questions. He just sort of goes like, all right, let me go talk to my manager. And he left us there for like 25 minutes. And like literally all he was supposed to be doing was getting a final price, after he told us that the price on the website was the final price and they don't negotiate, which one I didn't really like either. So then he comes back 25 minutes later and he gives us a price, including taxes and everything else that they do in this country. And the price was shitty. And I'm like, look, we're not interested in doing it at that price. If you can't get down to this point, we're not in. So again, he sits there and he goes, all right, let me go talk to my manager. Another 20 minutes. So like we've been there for over an hour at this point between doing a test drive. And the manager comes back and he just sits down and he goes, so tell me why we're walking away from this deal today. And he was such a dick. Like he was really aggressive. And the whole time we were answering him, and we were answering him with legit concerns, he kept smiling. Oh, so tell me why you don't want to do this today. Oh, tell me why you don't want to do it. And it was like this creepy smile, right? Like, I'm not listening to you. I'm just going to pretend to smile like I'm happy and I'm not making this uncomfortable. And there was a complete disconnect, right? To the point where we just got up and we said, you know what? Thanks for your time, but we're out of here. Right? And then we went somewhere else and we actually bought a car. So they didn't not only lust out from us, but they lost the sale as well. Like we would not go back there again because of the approach. And what I want to go through today, right, is to explain to you why sales is the best skill you can own, but also the best way to approach it and to develop that skill. And that example was exactly the opposite to what I'm going to share with you today, but I wanted to share it with you because it literally happened last week. And I found it really interesting that people are still approaching things this way in this day and age when everybody is so sales savvy. Like we've all had these experiences. We're all aware that the sale is going to be part of the process. You would think that they would adapt or adopt with the times, right? A different approach. So let's dive into why sales is the number one skill you can own. Okay. And when you look at sales as a whole, right, it's really a transaction. It's a transaction between me offering you something and you deciding whether you want to do it, all right? Or me trying to get you to do something and you deciding whether you want to do it or not, right? And we do this every day, right? We do it with our partners. We do it with our kids. We do it with ourselves, right? And we do it with clients and potential clients and customers and everything else, right? Like, I'm always trying to get them to see something one way, and then in their mind, we have to sell that to them enough for them to believe it, to then want to do it or buy it or take action on it or whatever it might be. It's such a natural process, and it should be a reciprocal relationship, right? Like at the end of the day, if I see that this is something you can benefit from, or I see that's something that we can benefit from, then I'm going to try and show you the value in that. I'm going to try and present the opportunity, whether it's directly for you or for us or whatever else, and then a way for us to be able to do that. And then you get to make the decision on whether you see value in it, whether you see it as an opportunity, and whether you want to take action on it. And it's so simple, right? All of these sales tactics and all of these closes and all of these different things that we got taught over the years because somebody needed to write a new book about sales and everybody else had done everything else, so they were just going to come up with more, the ultimate way to close high-paying clients, right? And all of this different shit. And when I call it shit, it doesn't mean that some of those things don't work, but what I want you to try and own from today is it the way that you want to do it, and is it in line with your values and your integrity and the way that you would like to be treated? Because if it's not, then it is shit, okay? If it is, how do you make it your own? All right, and there is a direct process to follow with sales. There are key things that you want to do throughout the sales process, but none of those things should be outside of your value system. They shouldn't be outside of something that you feel is in line with how you would want to be treated or how you want to treat other people. If it is outside that line, then I would question the validity of it. And is it something that you really need to be doing? All right, it's that simple and that straightforward. So The reason why sales is such a great skill is because at the end of the day, if I can position something in a way to help others see the benefit, the opportunity, the value in it, then that is a skill, right? Otherwise, I can have all of the best solutions in the world, right? The best products, the best programs. But if I can never position it in a way to get people to see the value in it, or to get them to see and want to take up the opportunity in it, then I'm just left with this like awesome opportunity for all of these people, all of these solutions and products that could really change people's lives. But I can't get it in front of the right people because I don't know how to present it. I don't know how to position it. I don't know how to convey it and articulate it in a way that they can relate to it, connect to it, and then want to take it up. All right, that to me is the ultimate skill set that you want to get good at, and it happens in videos, it happens in sales copy, it happens on your websites and landing pages and your marketing material, it happens in conversations, right? Like at the end of the day, if somebody needs help in something, it's your job to sell them the best solution. And don't put the negative connotation on sales. Like it is your duty to sell them something that is going to help them. If you don't sell them that and then they walk away from that consultation, that phone call, that meeting, that whatever it is, and they haven't taken it up or they haven't gained access to something that could have helped them, how have you been able to help them, right? They're walking away no better off. And for me, I'm not willing to do that. So the way that I look at sales is it's my duty to help that person. And I'm going to do everything I can do to help that person. I'm going to ask some tough questions. I'm going to get them to be as transparent as they can be with me. I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to peel away the excuses, the justifications, the stories, because I want to get to the core of the issue. And then I want to be able to provide a solution for that core if I have a solution for it. If I don't, and somebody's exposed their core issue, their core pain, and I don't have a solution for it, there's going to be a big disconnect. And I've had situations like that where I've literally had to give that business to somebody else because I didn't have the right solution for them, but I still wanted to do my best by that person. And that's a way I want to teach you guys to approach sales in any situation. Okay? What are the best ways to approach sales? All right. When I teach sales and I do a lot of sales training, I've done a lot of sales training to fitness professionals over 15 years. I've had over 100 staff personally that I've taught sales processes and systems for. I've had big corporates come in and hire me to teach their sales team how to approach sales in a way that they are no longer selling. All right, what does that mean? It means going back to the old having to sell or be in the convincing game, right? Trying to sell a product without actually knowing anything about my customer. Trying to sell a solution without knowing if that person even has the problems that my solution can fix for them, right? It's that disconnect that we want to remove from the sales process. So one of the first things that I love to talk about when it comes to sales, all right, is the fact that we have how many of these, all right, and how many of these, right? You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. And those of you listening to this on audio, you get the point, right? When you're approaching sales, the number one thing to be thinking about at all times is that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, all right? Who should be doing most of the talking during a sales conversation, during a sales consultation, meeting, presentation, everything else? Who should be doing most of the talking? And if you're doing anything one-to-one, right? Pitching from stage is a little bit different, right? Because you got a room of people in front of you and you're trying to get the audience to connect with your solution without necessarily knowing a lot about them, right? You can get interactions and feedback and gauge where the audience is and whether or not this might be the right thing for them, but you're never going to get the opportunity like you do in a one-on-one environment to really dig deep and get to the core of the issue or why they're here today, okay? But when I'm looking at this whole 2 ears and 1 mouth, your job is to get them to talk, all right? And one of the best things in any sales situation to make somebody feel at ease, to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel like, hey, do you know what? This guy's pretty cool. He's nice. Or this girl, right? It's to ask questions. People love to talk about themselves. And you might be thinking, well, I'm an introvert and I don't like to talk about myself. Trust me, if you are just having general conversation, you're talking about yourself, it instantly cuts through the ice. It instantly mellows out the situation, and you start to feel like, hey, this person is personable. They're interested in me, not just the sale. I'm not just another number that they're ticking off for the day. All right. And one of the best compliments I get from all the phone conversations I get is I get emails from people that aren't the right fit. Either we've determined that they're not the right fit for our program, or they have. And I get emails from these people afterwards that I keep. Now I've got them as testimonials to show people the value of my free call, thanking me for the clarity I gave them, the way that I took the time for what I helped them, the way we challenged them on the calls, all of those things. Because for me, my intention was still what's best for them, not what's best for me. And by asking questions and breaking the ice and really spending a bit of time to get to know who this person is that's sitting in front of you, why they're here today, what are the problems they're facing, what's happened to lead them to this point, and what is it that they really want. If I can do that, the level of rapport and the level of connection that I'm able to build with that person is at a far greater level than most salespeople ever operate on. And the crazy thing is, it doesn't take any longer than you flipping through your beautiful flip chart, or going through this great presentation on your computer, or pulling out all of these different sheets of paper for this person to have a look at. That only creates more of a disconnect. It doesn't help us create more of a connection. And you got to understand that sometimes the person is the objective, right? Getting to know that person and even work out whether they are a right fit for the solution you have to offer, right, is the most important part of the sales presentation. It's not the close, it's not the script, it's not how well you lead somebody through a certain process to get them to say this versus that. It's none of that shit. It's getting to know whether or not this person is the right fit for your solution, and finding out as much as possible to make sure we can steer them in the right direction. If you approach sales in that way, man, the rapport, the experience, and how those sales presentations, calls, consultations, meetings feel is way different. Way different. And the way that I like you to think about it too is that if you were talking to your friend, right, you would ask some key questions because you care about them. You would want to find out what's going on because you care about them. You want to know what's going on in their life. You want to know why they're feeling a certain way. And then if you can help them, you're going to start describing to them how you can help them. And it should be no different. This person's in front of you. Treat them the same way every single time, regardless of who they are and how they came to you. Once they are in front of you, it is your duty, remember, to do everything you can to help that person. All right? This is a big one. And it's a big one because a lot of people miss this. And they don't miss it because they have the wrong intentions. They miss it because they aren't quite aware that it exists. All right? And one of the greatest tools that you can use in any sales process is empathy. All right, if I can get to the point where somebody truly feels, and I talked about this, I think in the last podcast episode when we were talking about how to position yourself, right, compared to your competition. But if I can show somebody that I'm in front of, that I understand where they're at, that I acknowledge what's led them to be where they are today, that I understand what's going on for them, right? What's going on in their mind, the conversations, how they're feeling, right? It becomes very easy for me to then position or prescribe the best solution for them, or something that I know is going to help them, because they truly feel like I understand where they are right now, or I understand what's led them to get to the point that they're at right now. And then I don't need to suddenly validate why they need it, because they know, based on the fact that I've shown them that I totally understand where they are, that, hey, this guy gets it. Whatever he tells me to do, I'm just going to do because I can see he understands where I am. He knows exactly what's going on inside my head or on my body or, in my mindset, whatever it might be. He gets it. He understands. They totally empathize with what's going on for me. And when you set that solution or you present them with the opportunity, there's no disconnect there. There's a direct correlation between, yep, he gets it, and yep, this is the way to fix it. And I don't have a gap in my belief with that because they've done a good enough job empathizing where I am. Now, here's my caveat. Often we can get trapped between empathy and relating to somebody. If I relate to you, there's a commonality. And why it's a little bit of a trap sometimes is that throughout the sales process, I always want to set myself a little bit higher in terms of standards compared to the prospect or person I'm talking to. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is that I have already achieved what they want to achieve. And that doesn't make me better than them, but it means that I have a slightly different perspective. I have a different view. I have a different set of standards from what I've learned and the journey I've been through. And if I come down and I relate to them, suddenly I'm on the same level. And why that's a trap is because what tends to happen is we then talk about that level and we go over it. Like, I used to be fat too. I eat that as well. I feel that way as well. And this is what happens to me and everything else. And you're all talking on the same level. And they like you because you have things in common. They think, yeah, this person's great. They relate to me. They get it, right? They're the same as me, right? And we love to think that we're in a room with the same types of people. It's like an instant comfort zone. But when you go to the prescription side of things and you're trying to tell this person what they now need to do to solve their problem, there's a slight disconnect in terms of liking you and respecting you. Having commonality versus seeing that you are the outcome to your solution. You are where I want to be. You are the example of what I want to achieve, how I want to look, how I want to feel, what I want to be able to do, the way I want my business to be run, the income level I want, right? You're sitting just there, which inspires me in some way to believe that it's possible for me as well. If it's here and we're sharing, yeah, I do that, I still do that, yeah, that still happens to me, I still feel that way, I can't see that you've solved the problem that I'm looking to solve because you're coming down and you're relating to me. We're having a conversation around the same things. And it's very different from having empathy and understanding and acknowledging where you're at and really having a true inside look into what's going on and then prescribing the solution that you've been able to discover, that you've been able to create, develop, that you achieve through X, Y, and Z. All right, now I can sort of see, okay, cool, this person gets where I'm at, but also they've now found the solution to it. But that takes away the disconnect. With the relating and the commonality, sometimes I'm like, I really like this person. They're cool. I can sort of see they've got a solution for me, but yet they're still sort of doing the same things that I'm doing. They're still going through the same things that I am going through. So do they really know what they're talking about? Are they really an example for the solution that they have to offer? Right? And this happens with fat trainers. It happens with business coaches who aren't making any money themselves. It happens from people that want to work and teach others about their self-esteem and their self-worth, but yet they feel like crap themselves, right? There's a disconnect. And then they come down and they relate because they're like, oh yes, more people like me. I'm so happy you're on the call today because that's like me too. And that's what I've suffered with. And that's what I want to help you with. But you haven't helped yourself first. So you've got to be really, really mindful of this because it is a small distinction. It's not a large one, but the outcome can be very big. The difference between people having the assurance and the confidence in you versus just liking you and thinking you're a nice person and that, you have things in common is a big difference. And you will see the difference in the results of your sales. Trust me, I've seen so many people that this person is lovely. Like, I know they have the right intentions. I know they're approaching things in the right way. Like they truly care about these people, but yet these people aren't buying from them. They're not following what they say. They're not respecting them. They're not following through on what they said they would do. Because they like them, they don't respect them. All right, so just be aware of that. There's a big difference between empathy and relating to somebody, all right, especially through the sales process. All right, I've talked about this many times, and if you haven't checked out my free training, all right, where I teach you how to take what it is that you're passionate about and turn it into a highly profitable online program, then do that, because I dive into this in detail, all right, and I call it the gap. All right, and being able to position the gap. And throughout any sales process, right, if I am showing empathy, the greatest way that I am showing empathy is to show that I understand where somebody is at right now or what led them to be where they are. The next thing I need to do is to show them or to try and understand where it is that they want to go. What it is that they want life to look like, how they want to feel, what they want their body to look like, what they want their income to be like, their lifestyle, time with their family, their relationship, their self-confidence, their self-worth, right? What is it that they want to achieve? They know I understand where they are. They know I get what's going on in their head, what's happening with their body, what's going on financially, what their life looks like, stress, feelings, emotions. They know I understand it because I've done a good job of showing them empathy around that. Now I have to do just as good of a job of gaining clarity around what it is that they want, but also why they want it. Why do you want more money? What does it mean to you, right? Hey, I want to be a provider. I want to be the sole provider for my family. Great. Why? Well, I want my husband to be home. I want him to spend more time with our kids. I want to be able to travel and enjoy the time with my kids before they get too old. Boom. All right. That's at the core of why you want to do this. Cool. How much money would allow you to do that? What's his income that we need to replace? Okay. If we create a program that's $3,000 to $5,000 and you sold 2 of those a month, would you be able to do that? Yes. Great. Okay. Let's have a look at how we can create that program, 1, that price point, 2, and then be able to get clients who are looking for that solution as 3, right? So that becomes the methodology to close the gap. In a sales process, I don't want to solve anything for somebody right now. I just want to gain clarity or help them gain clarity on 1, where they are, and 2, where they want to go, and work out whether or not my solution is what's going to help them close the gap, is what's going to allow them to go from where they are now to where they want to go, out of pain and into pleasure, out of hell and into heaven. Okay, there's lots of different ways to position this and own whichever one you want. But in the sales process, if I can't position the gap, what is it that somebody needs solved? And when they can understand that there is a gap and they can understand that, or they can believe in the fact that that end outcome is possible for them, especially if they can have trust in you and the fact that you've created a process to help them close that gap, right? They don't even need to understand all the ins and outs of the how yet. And if they do, it's because you haven't done a good enough job at this point on relating where they are now to where they want to go. They want all the details of how they're going to get there, right? But the how doesn't matter as long as you get there. And I've explained this in other episodes where people are like, oh, what do you give me? What's included? I'm like, do you care what's included if you end up with those 2 sales at $5,000 each a month, making 10 grand a month, 9 grand in profit, all right, whatever it might be? Do you care on the how? All right. And it's a valid question because that's where people get stuck, right? Is they're here, they know where they are, they can see where they want to go, but they don't know how to get there. So they start thinking about all of the hows and all of these different things, and they get stuck because there is an unlimited multitude of hows. All you need to do throughout the sales process is get them to believe in the fact that you've created a method to solve the how. That's it, right? And I can break down the framework of it without going into detail, but ultimately it's going to come back down to where they are now, where they want to go, and does your solution work for them? Is it going to provide them with what they need to end up with that end goal, vision, intention? All right, it's key. If you do a great job of this, you will never have to sell somebody into anything, ever. It's literally a matter of, hey, this is how we can solve it. Are you in or are you not in, right? Like, do you want to solve it or not? And if you don't, no problem. Totally understand. If money is your reason for not solving it and you're willing to stay where you are, even though it's costing you a minimum of $10,000 a month, let's say for the next 12 months. So, your decision not to want to solve this right now is potentially going to cost you 120 grand minimum over the next 12 months. I have no issue. Okay. But again, you can see that might sound strong, but it's not salesy because I'm putting the question back on them because they've come to me to solve their problems or to at least find out if there is a solution for those problems. I'm now showing them that there is, with integrity. And if they decide not to do it, there is nothing wrong with you questioning that decision, because is that decision the best thing for them? Is that decision not to do it going to help them achieve the outcomes that they want? Going to let them spend more time with their kids, retire their husband, travel the world? Is saying no going to help them do that? The answer is no. All right. So it's your job to highlight that to them and to question it, because if it's not in line with what they want, why are they doing it? What's holding them back? What do we need to do to get you to make the decision that is in line with what you want? What are you afraid of? What are your doubts? What are your questions? What are your concerns? Let's deal with those right now. Let's squash them. Let's work out, are they really valid, or are they just stories and excuses in your way because you're scared, because you don't know if it's going to work? All right, well, has what you've been doing to date worked? No. Okay, so we already know what we're doing isn't working. Why don't we start focusing on what does work? What's worked for me? What's worked for our clients? What's worked for a whole bunch of people around the world? That's where I would like to take your focus if you're willing to shift your focus. All right, and again, not salesy, but strong. All right, like, I'm not about creating a process that's all light and fluffy and we're going to hug and kiss each other at the end. It's a real process. It's something that's really getting to the core of what's going on for somebody, and it's being really confident in the fact that you have a solution for it. If you do. If you don't, then again, there'll be a disconnect. Next one I put in here, I've sort of already explained it, but getting them to self-select, right? If they can see that I truly understand where they are, and then they can also articulate and start to believe in where they want to go. And if I can ask them questions like, hey, is that really what you want? Can you see yourself being able to create a program that you could sell for $3,000 to $5,000? Can you see yourself being able to do that? Yes. Can you see yourself being able to work with 3 to 5 people a month? Yes. Can you see yourself being able to live the lifestyle that you want if you were bringing in $20,000, $15,000 in profit a month? Yes. All right. At this point, there is sales psychology around getting them to say yes multiple times before the final yes, 100%. And it is neurological pathway stuff, right? So it is science-based. But more than anything, I don't want to be in the convincing game. Like, if somebody has told me yes to the key questions, right? I am confirming that yes, they see this as a solution for themselves. They see the benefit in it. They see the value. They see the opportunity. They see the chance to finally change. And by them coming back to me with a yes for all of those questions, they're confirming to me that this is something that they want. But even better than that, they're confirming it to themselves, all right, which is very, very powerful when it comes to the prescription. Why are you telling me yes to all of these things and now I'm giving you an opportunity to do it and your first response is no? But before, we just went through everything and you said yes. So where's the disconnect? Because let's deal with that, because we've already said yes to everything else. All right. And again, strong, but with integrity, and there's validity behind asking that question, because they've literally said yes to you before, rather than me not doing that, getting to the end of the sales process, not really knowing if it is something that they believe in with conviction, that they've said yes to multiple times. And then I'm like, oh, okay, then. All right, well, you get back to me and let me know. Right? No, that's never going to be doing your best to help somebody. That's just going to be giving up on the sale because you got a little bit of resistance, right? Of course, there's resistance in the buying decision, especially if it's a large amount of money. There'll always be, and that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. I want them to be serious about the decision they're going to make. I want them to be committed to this process. If it was easy and the money didn't matter to them at all, they would never be committed. It's why our program is expensive, because I want to work with the people who are committed, that are taking this seriously, and who are going to do the work, right? So this whole sales process also filters out who are going to be the best clients for you to work with, okay? This is key, and it's simple, all right? But it's something that I see a lot of salespeople miss. It's like they spend all of this time building a rapport, getting a great connection, positioning the sale, getting them to self-select, presenting the price point, getting a yes. But then there's almost like this void, like another gap between explaining to somebody what happens from the moment they say yes to starting the program. There's no clarity. There's no steps broken down. There's no like, okay, cool, this is what's going to happen next. And then you get a call here, and then this will happen, and then keep an eye on the mail for here. Like, I don't make it clear. And the reason why it's so important to make it clear is, one, to get rid of buyer's remorse, but two, to start getting them to see, okay, wow, like now I'm part of a process. I can see straight away that these guys are going to drive me forward, right? It's time to get excited. It's time to get to work, okay? That's your job, to make sure that you make that as clear for them as possible, because again, one, take away the buyer's decision, but two, get them excited about what they just bought, right? Get them motivated and start using that energy to like, holy shit, I just made a big decision. Now I got to go. Cool. Yes. Now let's go. And this is how we're going to do it. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, with clarity, so that we avoid overwhelm. Because how many people buy something, sometimes even expensive, and then don't even get started? Don't even do it. Or they start and they take the first 2 steps, and then they stop doing what they were doing because they lost sight of what's next. There was too much. They went into the back end of the membership site, and there was 5,000 modules, and they didn't even know where to start. They didn't know what to do. And then there was bonus modules, and then there was live Q&A recordings, and there was a whole bunch of stuff, and it wasn't clear. Simple and clear. It should be part of your sales process. All right, how to ask for sale the right way. All right, is there a right way to ask for the sale? The answer to that question is probably yes versus no, all right? And sometimes the easiest way to think about it is to simply just ask, right? Like, is this something you're ready to get started with today? Is this something that you're ready to commit to? Is this something that you know you're going to make the most of? If it is, cool, let's look at how we can get you started. All right, there's key ways for me to position that sentence, all right? And there's an unlimited amount, so I'm not going to go into many more. What I want to avoid, so what do you think? Do you think this is for you? Do you have any questions for me? What do you think? Do you think you can make this work? How are you feeling about, possibly doing this? All right, those are questions that I want to avoid. All right, and the reason why I want to avoid them is because I'm putting the decision onto them in almost like a, what do you think about, versus like, this is the solution for you. Are you ready to take up this opportunity? Are you ready to get started? Are you ready to create what it is you told me you wanted to create? Like, are you ready? Is the only decision I need to know, right? I don't want to know how you're feeling yet at this point, right? I don't want to know what you think about it. Because if I do that, then I don't have the confidence that I'm presenting to you the solution that is in line with what you need. Right? Because I'm now almost questioning it, because I'm so tentative around asking the question. Like, Hey, what do we need to do to get you started today? Are you going to pay on Visa, MasterCard? How would you like to break up the payment? What's going to be the best way for you to get started today? When's going to be the best day for us to do your launch call? When's going to be the best time for us to come in and do your initial kickoff meeting or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, I'm already going on to the next step of the process. There's no doubt in my mind and in my presentation that this is the right thing for you if it is. If it's not, I don't even present it. Hey, look, I'm really glad that you've been on the call today, but I don't think that our solution is right for where you're at right now. I think you should go work on this or go do this or maybe go look into something like this. But for what we do, it's not the right fit. And my biggest filter for that with our particular program is that if you're not somebody that has a desire to help others with something, all right? And it doesn't mean like e-commerce and stuff like that. That's not my clientele. Agencies, that's not my clientele, right? But if you have a passion for helping others in whatever capacity, it could be with accounting, it could be chiropractors, it could be as a psychic medium, it could be anything like that, then you're my clientele. And if you really want to find out the best way to do that and to create a profitable program around that passion, then cool. Let's look at how we can do that. All right. So you've got to have the integrity around, by the time you get to presenting the solution, that you're presenting it to them because it is the best thing for them. So then don't ask them what they think about it. Don't ask them do you think you're ready to get started? No. Are you ready? All right. What do we need to do from here? Right? Like, it's just have the confidence and have the clarity around it when you present it. And then you don't have to worry about the words and did I say this the right way or not the right way or anything else. Just have certainty and confidence. All right. Two things here. All right. And these are pretty small, but they're important in the entire process. For our program, right? My program, minimum $8,000 to $5,000, depending on when you came into it. Okay. And for people, that's a lot of money. And if some of them are married or they got partners and they need to ask their partner whether it's something that they can do, I am not one of these people that go, oh, well, is your partner the only reason why you can and can't do this, right? That might be a legit question that I will ask, but once they answer it, I'm not going to push them past that point, because I know for me personally, if I wanted to spend that much money, I would consult my wife. 100% I would. Would she stop me? No, if it was something I was going to do. And same for her. But we would consult each other. So I don't have an issue with somebody saying to me that that's something they have to do. But here's the big thing. I also want to be in control of the follow-up. So one of the things that we do in every sales presentation is we offer some level of call to action that has a time frame. And the time frame, you might call it scarcity, right? For us, I'd call it a sense of urgency, right? That if you're ready to go, then I can present this particular opportunity or offer to you for this long. I need an answer by here. So what I'm going to do is you talk to hubby tonight or your partner or your wife or whatever else, and I'm going to call you or send you a text message tomorrow at this time, and you can give me a yes or no. And if it's a yes, then we're going to book, and I'll go through the next few steps again, the same way that I did throughout the sales presentation, explaining what's the next steps once they get started with the program. All right, but I'm not against it. But again, the biggest thing here is be in control of the follow-up. Hey, I need to check my finances to work out how I'm going to make this work. Cool. So what I can gather from you is that today it's 100% yes. You just want to work out how to split up the payments. Is that correct? Cool. All right, what I'll do is I will give you till tomorrow. I'll give you till later this afternoon. Is that going to give you enough time to work it out? Yes or no? All right, I don't say yes or no, but that's what I'm trying to get. And then when they do that, cool, great. I'll send you a message then, or you email me before 6 p.m. tonight and let me know how you can make this work. And then I'll hold the same offer for you. If I don't hear from you, then that offer is not going to exist. All right. So again, I'm in control of the next contact, of the follow-up, the outcome. And I'm not afraid of the last point I've got down here. I'm not afraid of the no. In every sales presentation, in every sales conversation, in every sales meeting, in every sales phone call, you can't, and I would recommend you don't ever be afraid of the no. You have to understand, depending on your industry, that you are always going to get a percentage of no's, right? In the online space, especially in the coaching and consulting space, you're going to get more no's than yes, especially if you want to be high ticket. You are 100% going to get probably between 60 to 70% of no's to yeses. So you're going to have to become very comfortable with the no. And when you're in control of the follow-up process, be in control of the follow-up process to end up with a yes or a no. Not a maybe, or I'll think about it, or I'll get back to you, or I'll get my people to call your people, or any of that crap. All right, like I want to know by this time, or by the time I call you here, or by the time I follow up here, that it's yes or a no. And if it's no, cool, I wish you all the best. If it's a yes, then this is what happens from there, and this is what we need to get organized, and this is what you need to do. All right, and I make that whole process very clean and very clear, because I don't want to be in the follow-up game, and I don't want to be in the convincing game. And if somebody keeps coming back to me with multiple questions about price, and you know, I'm not sure if this is going to be the right thing for me, I've got all these other things going on and everything else, cool. Based on what I'm hearing from you right now, you have a lot of concerns. Are your concerns that you don't know whether you're going to be able to make this happen, or you're not willing to commit to what you need to do to make it happen? Which one? All right. Again, I'm putting the question back on them because I want honesty. I don't want stories. I want honesty. I want to cut straight to the point. If it's not something that you can commit to, then it's probably not the right fit for you, because this program is going to drive you, because our guarantee is that not only is your program created and that you're marketing it, but that you're getting sales before the end of the 8 weeks, right? Which is our personal satisfaction guarantee that we offer within our program. It's my intention for my entire structure of my program is that I can take somebody who's never had an online program before, who just has an idea or a way of, you know, trying to help people, and how to structure that, turn it into a program, market it, and generate sales before the end of the 8 weeks. And when you have confidence in your solution like that, you can also have conviction in the fact that whether or not somebody is going to do the work or be the right fit for your solution. And if you're not afraid of the no, and if you're in control of the follow-up, and you understand how to present the offer the right way with confidence and clarity, the whole entire sales process becomes a lot simpler. I'm not overthinking anything. I'm not hesitating to ask for the sale. I'm doing it with confidence because I understand and I have clarity around everything else that's involved with it. And I've spent enough time being client focused, showing empathy, being able to connect with them at a core level, being able to cut through the stories, the excuses, the justifications, all of that crap, and get to the core of what it is that they really want, and connect it with the why that they want it, and show them a way to be able to do that. Be able to prescribe a way for them to be able to do that. If you tie all of these things together, you are going to have a very, very powerful sales process, basically a conversion process. And in every niche that has owned this, in every market that I have been in, I have always had higher conversion rates, higher sales percentages, being able to sell higher price programs than anybody else, because I spend time on this. I teach people to approach things this way, which ultimately leads to greater results, but also a greater experience. And we remove that negative connotation to sales in the first place, that people start loving the sales process. They love being able to jump on the phone, being able to meet with people and have sales meetings and have consultations and have sales calls, because they understand that's the moment that they get to connect with and help somebody achieve what they want. And when you can attach that positive connotation to sales, it changes the game. It changes your mindset and mind frame around all of this stuff. And you start to get excited versus nervous. You start to get prepared instead of freaking out, all right? And then you gain the level of confidence to really rock this out and to start helping more and more people, because ultimately, if I can't position what I have to offer, I can't help you. If I can't help you get started because I don't understand how to sell what it is I've got to help you make that decision, then I can't help you. And for us, if you're in the niche that I love to work with, not being able to help somebody with something that you know you could help them with is way more painful than trying to approach things with a different sales process and framework. So I hope you gain a lot from that. If you haven't checked out my free training yet, where I dive into some of this stuff in more detail and I show you how to take what it is that you're passionate about and turn it into a profitable online program, then I'll put the link below it. It's on my website at adammckenzie.net/free training. Go check it out. It's definitely worth your time. I have people that literally write pages of notes during that presentation because there is so much value that you're going to gain from it. And I look forward to either connecting with you on that free training or hearing from you via email or anything else below this week's episode. And I will speak to you next week.